All right, good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We have our meeting, of course, and we always begin with our introductions. Ryan, do you mind if I start with you today and we'll work around?
Sure. Ryan Noble, IT.
Bob Germoni, IT.
Kathy Plasto, AVP of IRAP.
Gail Frazier, Executive Assistant to the President.
Juan Martinez, Need of Public Service.
Katie Cook,
Sorry.
Katie Cook, AACC.
I'm Steve Mullen, Director of Athletics.
Alex Moore, men's basketball coach.
Stewart, swimming.
Ryan Newberg.
Rick Ehrenberg, Head Coach for Swimming Men and Women.
Colleen Reedy, VP of Student Affairs and Workforce Development.
Adrian Ramick, interim AVP of academics.
Aldana, business manager, risk assessment.
Ardell Plana, Comptroller.
Mark Pachola, Chief of Campus Safety and Emergency Management.
Good morning, Christopher Sanchez, Director of Talent Management and Employee Engagement.
Welcome.
And Maureen Ring, Director of Retiree.
Particularly welcome to our coaches, students, our athletic department. Great to have you here with us. I was just at a basketball game last night. We had Mount St. Mary's versus Mount Mercy for the Catholic Championship at the girls level. It was a great game. And they're moving on, Mount St. Mary's, to the States in New York City. My niece. I'm thinking about basketball today. Great game. And I see Amanda Lau, you're on with us? There you are. Are you muted, or you want to say hello, Amanda? Can you hear us okay?
I'm hearing you guys.
Yeah, okay, good. And then who else anyone else online, Bob?
No.
Okay. And Candace?
Candace Morrison, Trustee.
Adim Zagai, President.
Jeff Stone, board member and chair.
Ken Crewley, trustee.
So we're going to be gathering our quorum, and there was an accident on the 290 this morning that just cleared, so there may be some people who were delayed by that. In the meantime, though, Adiam, would you like to start, please, with our introduction of our student and guests?
Absolutely. As we always do, we want to bring our students today, and our focus is Finish Strong, part of our graduation initiative. So I'm going to have Colleen Reedy tell us who's here with us today.
Love to.
Thank you.
President Zagai and Chairman and trustees, we are really thrilled to have some of our athletes with us today. So we're going to go around and allow them to introduce again themselves and anything you might want to ask. So we're going to start with our swimmers. Okay, so we have Coach Rick, as already introduced himself, Rick Ehrenberg, and students, if you'd like to introduce yourselves. You can stand up and tell them what you study. And
I'm Ryan. I study culinary and I do swimming.
How about your swimming events? What do you do?
I do like distance right now. I'm doing like a mile, the 1,500.
Endurance guy.
Yeah. It's all international.
I'm Stuart. I study engineering and I'm a swimmer.
Events, Stuart?
Kind of like mid-distance and some breaststroke.
Maybe Coach, if you could talk a little bit about
Yes, sir.
our
Sure.
yes, our swimming.
I'll be quiet,
Yes,
Bill.
please, thank you.
The program for the men are coming off their finest season in a long time. We finished second at the regional championships just a couple weeks ago. Both of these, thank you very much. Both of these gentlemen qualified for the nationals in 4 events, and actually both of them have probably qualified in 11 events, but they can only swim 4 at the national championships down in Florida next week. We leave on Monday. Ryan here was a national finalist last year in all 4 events, and Stu was just off by 1 place or 2 places in all his 4 events last year. Right now, both of them are ranked in the top 16 or 17th in all 4 events again, so we're really excited about that, along with the other 12 kids, or the other 10 kids, I should say, that we are bringing down. So it's kind of exciting. Our women's team is a little smaller, but their academics were incredible. I think we mentioned at our last meeting they had a 3.8 as a GPA. So that was exciting. Our men are just under 3. And I have a fantastic assistant coach who's an auditorium director here, Vince McCarthy. And obviously we're led by the incredible person with Steve.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Coach Alex Mora is the men's basketball coach. Coach.
Good morning, thanks for having us today. I want to say thanks to my boss here who has been great for us. We're still in season. This weekend, we're going to Monroe, we'll make the playoffs.
Nice.
Knock on wood. Counting on these guys to help us see if we can win it all and go to the Nationals this year. It's going to be tough because we're not hosting, but it's good to go to somebody's territory and win it. It's more rewarding. So hopefully this weekend, it's a start for the whole season. It's 0-0 now. Whenever it gets to playoff, it's whoever wants it the most. So I know the work we put in and the help of AD here pushing us to make sure that we achieve. We're going to try to get it done. I'm here with Wasim and Kamani. I'll let them introduce themselves. Thank you for having us.
Oh, absolutely, thank you.
I'm Kamani Montague, and I'm studying computer science.
My name is Wasim Ajaybe, and I'm studying mechanical engineering.
Is your team playing at Monroe Community College, or where are you now?
Yes.
Is it okay?
Oh, we definitely got
They
to.
hosted it.
You know what you have to do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Great
We
record
love
for the
Monroe.
team.
Sister team.
And Steve, thank you for your work.
Yep, and we have two more here as
Oh, I'm
well.
sorry.
They just walked
They
up
just
before-
snuck in.
before-
Coach
before
Craig
they come.
Leon, women's softball. I'll let you take it.
Samantha Wing.
I'm Samantha Wing, I'm a nursing major.
Thank you.
Position?
Oh, I play infield or outfield.
Okay.
Sam Nussbaum.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about the?
This is my second year with the program, and I think we're going in the right direction. There wasn't much recruiting done when I got here last year, so we put a priority on recruiting. And last season coming into this year, we were able to sign 4 girls to letters of intent, who we have right now. And actually, we're signing one today, which is kind of a game changer, because she's going to be our premier player in the area. She's at Lancaster High School, which is typically a pretty big high school. And to get one of those kids to come here has been pretty good. So special thanks to our trainer, who kind of recruited her. So the rest of the things, lots of steam. I'm going to keep going forward with recruiting. That's a big thing.
So you want to give us an overview of it?
I sure would, and then I would like to, I'd like to say something about these coaches, especially here since they're here. So for those of you who don't know, we have 15 varsity sports over 2 campuses now. We've had a very busy year in moving, and President Sagai certainly helped us move a number of our outdoor sports from some campus up here to north, and we're working on developing facilities here, as you guys probably know. So 15 sports, 270 student athletes, all varieties of majors, culinary, engineering, computer science, nursing, that come here not only for the education, but athletics. And we have a number of coaches here that hold full-time jobs elsewhere, and they come here out of their, they enjoy it, and they enjoy the sport, and they enjoy the kids. Coach Ehrenberg here has been coaching for 30 years, 40 years, right? 30, and he said to me a month ago, 2 months ago, he says, this is the most fun I've ever had coaching. So I'm glad he's getting out of that. And so Craig and Rick are both part-time coaches here, but their life, what they do in their jobs is a life of service. So Rick, can you please tell them what your job is outside of here? And then Coach Ward is our full-time coach, but I really want him to speak about some of the stuff they've been giving back with the city recently. So I'd like Rick and Craig to maybe go first here, just kind of say what you do outside and why you're coaching here, and then if Alice can speak as well.
Sure. So for me, I have a full-time coaching position with what's called the City Swim Project. We have about 400 athletes that are mostly lower income. If you're under the 200% poverty line, they swim for free. And that's lessons and competitive swimming. Where in most swim clubs, you're paying $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 a year. I know that because I used to be the head coach of Star for 14 years, and that's what we were charging. So when I was approached about 3-4 years ago now, I took that job. I also am in charge of all the swim meets in the Syracuse, Rochester, Buffalo, and Southern Tier area to make sure that those meets are sanctioned correctly and all those results go into USA Swimming so they can go on to swim at higher level meets or whatever the case may be. I'm also the director of aquatics for our City Swim project. So I oversee everyone with all our instructors. Ryan's one of my instructors actually. And now I have 2 more of my college swimmers who are going to be joining us over there as well. So we're able to place them into positions. So I have those 3 other jobs, and there might be another one I'll be doing just because I have such a high passion. But yes, Steve and I were talking the other day. He's seen it in me. I absolutely love coaching these guys. It's different when you're coaching at a junior college. There's a lot of passion from these kids. Sometimes they don't have that other opportunity. It could be the resources, but they have someone that cares about them. And I know I've talked to Alice over the years that I've known him. He and I have been around for a while. And you just see the love of these kids. And watching these 2 people, along with my other 10, it is fun. And now we're heading down to Florida. This is what they're talking about. They're going to be swimming against some fast swimmers. You get on a plane, join some of these kids that have never been on a plane. So we're teaching them how to be on a plane. That's interesting when you have to tell a 17, 18-year-old, 19-year-old how to do planes. It's part of the life. So that's my story. I appreciate, again, being here.
Yes, I have a full-time job outside of DCC. I work for the Buffalo Police Department. I'm the captain in the homicide unit. Some nights get a little busy, but I'm able to, balance.
And then, over the years, Alex's teams have certainly given back, but he has an exciting event going on in the city of Buffalo now over the next couple of months. So I'd love to see
Well, also, the president is involved with that. We started a foundation for my son that plays in the NBA, and we started giving back to the inner city kids, where we bring the boys and girls that cannot afford to go to regular basketball clinics. Our clinic is almost like $100 NBA camps, and every kid that comes to the camp comes for free. We partner up with our athletic department and my son's foundation, and also the president is a big supporter of what we're trying to do. So instead of just doing it for one time, and every summer we do it once and that's it, we decided to do 4 or 5 camps in between our games. We just started out one last 2 weeks where we bring 100 kids from inner city kids, do clinic. We use as more or less stuff to engage our players and the fans, where we bring them, feed them, do clinics for them, they stay back and watch the games. We did it with 125 kids this past 2 weeks with the city of Buffalo, and also we are supported by West Hereford and Delaware North and ECC Athletics. So we still have 3 more to go after our season, because we're in season now. The most important is to make it, see how far we can go with the playoffs, and then we continue just to giving back to the kids, and also letting these guys know, where they started from, how to give back to. So we've been doing it with athletics and the president's office, and it's been great.
Fantastic mentorship. Thank you all for being here. Coaches, our athletic director, Steve, I know your wife, Danielle, one of my clients. I had one at the school district, if I recall. And students, congratulations, and thanks for coming to our trustees meeting. And good luck at your upcoming events this weekend or next week. Really glad you took the time to be with us. Every decision we make around this table and around the edge of the room here is really with you in mind. We're trying to always make that our touchstone to try to make your experience here better, give you a better chance for successfully concluding here, moving on to whatever is next for you. And having you here reminds us of the importance of that approach to things. So we're glad you're here. We wish you good luck. And you want to tie it into the Finish Strong?
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's a couple of things, right? Part of it is to really highlight what we have at the college, but not only for athletics and their coaches, but the entire college community, to show that it's not just academic first, right? But it's also the ability to really do the extracurriculum activity, but more importantly, to be present in our community. So thank you for being here. it's all about you. You come first and then everything else around you. So thank you for being here. And I know Bob is waiting over there to take pictures because we want to make sure we have image. So we're asking the boards, maybe the students could come here with the coaches and we could take a picture. And then after that, you certainly could go back if that's, I know you got classes and other things. So thank you. We can stay.
Should we stay seated or move?
I think I'd like to get a picture of the group of students, you and Adium, and I'll come in from over here and get everyone. Come on, act like you like each other.
I'm going to be right in the nose.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
How you doing, better. How are you? Thank you.
Thanks much.
Thank you, Coach.
Hi, Coach. Thank you. All right. We very glad to have the students here. We started that portion of our meeting at 9, and at this point, I will call our meeting to order and ask Secretary Carrie Phillips to call the roll of trustees. All of whom appear to be present.
Okay. Melody Baker. Present. Ken Crewley.
Present.
Len Lenahan.
Present.
Amanda Lau. Candace Morrison. Present. Carrie Phillips here. Jeffrey Stone.
Present.
And Cameron is not joining us today.
All right. Oh, yes, Karen. We had our last meeting on January, and we are approving the minutes today from our meeting. Let's see. Let's make sure I got the dates right here. A meeting in late January, and they were circulated on page 4. And a motion to approve circulated?
So moved.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those minutes were very well taken and solid. Thank you very much for that. Now, as usual, we will move on to our committee items for approval, which actually require votes of the trustees, not just informational items. So for that, we will go first to our Budget, Audit, and Facilities Committee Chair, Ken Cooley.
We have 3 items on the agenda for approval. They're all pretty simple items. First one is concerning the CAS program, which we work with the Department of Social Services in the county in helping provide training to folks. We were briefed at the budget meeting by Maureen Fitzpatrick. Paul is here if there were any other questions, but it's a basic agreement to work with continue to work with the Social Services Department. Paul, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, we've been doing it for going on 30 years, just over 30 years.
The second item is apprentice training program fee schedules. Colleen, any comments on that? That's also pretty routine. We've done that with some other programs recently.
Thank you, sir. It is routine revenue generating for the college when we do utilize them, but we also, just to clarify, we only use these organizations if our faculty are not available to teach.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then the third item is concerning
some Sunbelt rental. They want to rent some grass that we have on the campus itself, and what it is just basically having a shed available that they can put some supplies and work with tools that are involved in the construction of the stadium. They're going to be paying us a little over $9,000 a year for the next 3 years, so it's a source of income. Probably the best use of the grass that we've ever had in the campus. So all of these are pretty basic, and I would just move for approval of all 3 of them.
Agreed, and they are all summarized for us on 9, 10, and 14, and all were discussed at the Budget Audit and Facilities Committee meeting on February 15th and approved there. Motion to approve, Ken, and second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those are all approved. We now move on to our Curriculum, Student Success, and Diversity Committee. Chair Candace Morrison.
Yes, we had a meeting on February 6th, and we have, let's see, 4 items this morning to discuss. Is Erickson?
He's here.
Yep. Erickson, if you wouldn't mind just giving the brief overview.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to winter.
We missed it.
Yes, there are 4 items that were discussed at the Curriculum, Student Success, and Diversity meeting. The first 2 are related to our Pathways program, which is our non-credit, non-tuition program. Both would then be space utilization agreements. One is with Our Lady of Victory, that we have a partnership that we provide that non-tuition, non-credit work at that facility. And the other is then Erie County Correctional Facility, where we also provide the non-credit, non-tuition to the individuals that are there. The third one is our Youth Engagement Service, an Independence Bound program. We have done this for a number of years, and so it's a continuation of the partnership with the county and the Youth Engagement Services. And the last one is a partnership for our paralegal in terms of then internship opportunities and applied learning opportunities for students that are in that program.
Those were all well summarized as pages 16 through 19. The paralegal thing is new, it looks like, which is kind of exciting. Speaking for the legal profession, we're glad to see more students filtering toward that and having more opportunities, pathways to find their way to paralegal positions in the local law firms, which is great. I had no questions after reviewing the materials. Did anyone else? Okay, if not, then a motion to approve items 1 through 4 under Curriculum, Student Success, and Diversity.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Those are approved. Thank you, Erickson. Next, we move to Talent, Diversity, Equity, and Belonging, and Chair Amanda Lau online.
Thank you, Jeff. I just had my video off while I was chewing. So you could all have to watch me. We don't have much on the agenda other than a report that was received outside committee. It's a request to extend Adrian's leave of absence so he can continue on as our AVP of Academic Affairs. Please and thank you, Adrian. Really appreciate all of your work that you've done on behalf of BCC, and we're really happy to continue you in this position.
Thank you.
Yes, I second that. I was glad to see that item on our agenda today. You've been a valued member of the senior executive staff in your position, and I know Dr. Sakai has a lot of confidence in what you're doing as her colleague at that level of the college. So thank you, Adrian. We will then, let's see, I think that one is a motion to approve here at the board level that particular leave as part of that report. Motion to approve and second?
So moved.
Thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you and welcome again. All right. Now we move on to our informational items. And we'll start with Chair Ken Crewley for Budget Audit and Facilities, 8 items.
The first 2 items, the rentals and waivers and the supplier report, nothing unusual in it. The rentals were about $9,000, and then we waived about $1,000 in the recent ones. The supplier report, there is a listing for NFTA, which Paul has informed me is a semester-based payment for the use of the services. Just skipping down to another one with Paul, the facilities and capital projects. That one, Paul, anything particular you want to update us on?
No, we're just starting to kick off all our seasonal meetings, I guess, for lack of a better description. We got a meeting on the Bell Center next week. We had a meeting for the clay tile roof, the skylight, both yesterday. So it's just getting geared up. There's going to be a lot of things going on. We haven't, Steve is gone, but we haven't had a follow-up meeting on the field project, but that's moving along. And the last, I know they were looking for like the utility diagrams for the fields, just to try to move it along a little quicker, where the water lines, any electric running through there. So, everything, it's going to get a lot busier very quickly.
Then we have some items involving ARDA, first of which is the budget to actual dashboard for period ending in December.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Well, at our committee meeting, I'm just going to give a brief overview of what we already actually covered. The financial dashboard presented before you is through December. This is technically reflecting the fall activity. Tuition and fees are trending about 3%. Compared to prior year, we're generating less revenue because enrollment is continuing to decline. And for fall, literally, I had the team work together. So the enrollment numbers we are looking at 6,500 students roughly for fall. And these are just credit enrolled students. It does not include high school students or pathway students. So there are certainly a lot of populations that we do serve. As far as expenses, salaries is our biggest expense, and as of January 1st, we had 509 full-time positions. We are still trending less than last year, but you have to keep in mind, even though we are in the current year, it doesn't account. It may actually surpass expenses compared to last year because, there is like step increases with inflation and everything that is happening. Costs are definitely increasing. Another thing we covered is the Drescher Malecki. They did provide actually the draft financial statements. They actually just released their management letters, and so far there are no reportable findings. The foundation has sent their financial statements as well. And then last but not least, we cover the 24-25 executive budget summary that Governor Hochul released. I did have an opportunity to actually watch Chancellor King on YouTube. He was presenting to the joint legislative meeting that they hold annually, and he gave a brief overview of what 23-24 enacted budget encompassed, and he did mention that last year was like one of the largest years in 20 years that SUNY has gotten like significant amount of state tax support. He did mention that they received $163 million increase just in the 23-24 enacted budget. However, of that $163 million, it all went to the four-year schools. SUNY community colleges, the support that they received is the maintenance of the 100% funding floor, which means that at that time, SUNY Erie benefited about $5 million, between $5 and $6 million. I would have to look at that, but it benefits us in that way because otherwise we would have lost those revenues if the funding floor was based on per FTE. So it means that they are aware that enrollment keeps declining for all community colleges across board. And then for the 24-25 budget, he did mention there's an additional $54 million increase that they're doing, and that is also going to four-year schools. And what else did he cover here? The maintenance of the 100% funding floor is remaining steady for 24-25. And this actually benefits SUNY Erie roughly $7 million that we would otherwise lose if the funding floor changes per FTE again. He did talk about capital investments, you know, there's a $650 million increase for that. Other things he covered is that I think it's important is the universal FAFSA completion. Governor Hochul is trying to make sure that all high school students fill out their FAFSA. There's, with this year actually expected in March, there's the FAFSA Simplification Act where students have the number of questions when completing the FAFSA went down from over 136.
I must leave.
So the number of questions on FAFSA significantly reduced from over 100 questions down to 36. The federal government, like it's lagging a little behind, but everything seems to run smoothly. Last but not least, he did mention workforce development. You know, he did cover like non-credit students that can be eligible for the TAP program. He also mentioned that SUNY community colleges are requesting $97 million for related to the workforce development. That is still being talked about. They are aware that community colleges do need a lot of support. And the last thing he did mention was the P-TECH programs. As we know, high school students are seeing, are enrolling in a lot of P-TECH programs, and I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to actually explore those options and see what they cover. Besides that, I don't have anything else.
Okay, I'll just add a few things there. I want to underscore a couple things you said and add a few of my own. Trustees, on page 31 of our materials, there's a great summary from SUNY of the governor's executive budget. Of everything that we got for this meeting, that's the most important thing. It would be important for us to realize that this is the executive budget, which is a proposal from the governor. It is not the final budget, which happens in late March, very early April typically. And this is subject to change. When it comes to schools, it usually holds or goes up, especially with respect to secondary schools. At colleges, I don't think we'll see too much of a retrenchment away from this, but by the same token, given the state's tightening financial situation, we're not going to see elaborate additional money for community colleges added to the budget, is my assessment of it. They mentioned in the first line of the summary the challenging fiscal times for of the state. The third year of 100% funding floor, really important, $6-7 million a year value to us. If we were getting our aid based on FTEs, full-time equivalents, we would be $6 or $7 million down in state aid based on declining enrollment. This is cushioning us from many of the effects, but not all, of declining enrollment. And we'll see how whether we can count on that going forward is always a big question. SUNY as a whole, Arta mentioned the four-year colleges are getting the lion's share of the additional money. They did, though, at least hold for us the direct aid and the floor. When you look at this, just bear in mind that the system-wide programs do benefit us, but university programs do not. That is the other piece of SUNY, the 4 years, the research institutions, and so forth. You find our stuff under system-wide programs and community college entries. Just the other few quick things that jumped out at me. $53 million for salary and benefit costs of new full-time faculty members. This is not just additional money that you can pass out to existing faculty members, for better or for worse. This is to the hiring of new full-time faculty supported by the state. 100% funding floor. System-wide, that means $85 million in support of community colleges, 6 or 7 to us. $140 million in capital matching money to community colleges. That's the 50% share beyond our county partners' share and our share that the state matches when we undertake capital projects. Interestingly, a $2.1 million initiative for Empire AI, additional artificial intelligence related programs and studies and support. And then I meant to mention this when the swim coach was here, $2 million devoted to New York Swims, a program statewide to enhance and encourage people to learn how to swim. One thing that we have is a great pool, and we make money from it. Ken mentioned the the payments that we get and the waivers, a lot of the stuff we get and don't waive is for that pool. And we may see an increase in that with our SWIMS initiative statewide. They stress throughout this memo that we need to make sure to stay in the ear of our local and state and even federal representatives, to hold the line and make sure what we have in the executive budget doesn't get taken away and ideally enhanced, and make sure that they are aware of what we care about. I went to a Greater Buffalo Partnership lunch with much of the local state delegation, and both Adam and I were able to talk to them about some of this stuff, particularly maintenance of the floor. Just want to make sure I've covered the critical. The FAFSA thing is important, I think. That's a huge barrier for students seeking to move on to college, not just with us, but in 4 years. I remember as a high school student, or with my children, as a practicing tax lawyer, figuring out FAFSA was really hard for me, and I can't imagine the difficulties if you're not really familiar with federal paperwork. I'm so glad that they put that into the senior year of high school to help people.
Just on that note,
Yep.
We are doing some proactive, and I know Suni, maybe you want to talk to that a little bit about doing with the new FAFSA?
Yes, so I've been in contact with SUNY and they've been great, and nothing but what's in the best interest of students. They're holding workshops, especially this month and in the upcoming months as well. I'm working with my team. We all need training as far as how to fill out the new FAFSA. There are a few glitches, that families are experiencing, and I actually volunteered a whole day on a Saturday learning about how to fill out a FAFSA. I wanted to know from the student's perspective, what do they see? What are some common questions that we can help with them with? And then the focus is for the team to collaborate and train our staff so we can hold some workshops between now and beginning of September even, maybe even further into that. I was speaking to a counselor which brought an interesting point. She said, just from dealing with high schools, she's noticed that oftentimes students leave in June, so there's that gap between July and August. They don't know if they want to attend a community college. There's an opportunity to hold those workshops to make sure that those students actually fill out the FAFSA. 50% of our students have their tuition free, paid for by federal Title IV grants. So I think it's important, but there's still an opportunity to have as many students as we can fill out their FAFSA.
Thank you.
A couple of other things. The proposed budget has given NYSERDA, the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority, the ability to do more on green energy fronts, some of which will affect us. And the Dormitory Authority has continued to broaden its portfolio of permissible activities to enhance projects throughout the state, whether they involve colleges or dorms or not. It's the Dormitory Authority, but it's much broader than that. Also, the minority and women-owned business 15A provisions have been extended through 2029, proposed to be extended, and I imagine that will be continued. And we're seeing that happening, of course, most closely with our neighbor, the Stadium Project. Almost daily you see articles in the newspaper about their initiatives with minority and women and veteran-owned businesses. Video conferencing, we're using it today with Amanda, and that's been extended for 2 years. That was a COVID-related thing that initially came out, and now they've kept this piece of it. As long as you give it an extra address, you can have someone online. COVID is proposed to sunset the law requiring employers to provide sick leave and other benefits for employees with COVID-19. That is proposed to sunset. It was a special law put in when the COVID pandemic started. And at the partnership lunch, the employer community was really anxious that this be repealed. They view it as a thing that is now past its usefulness and putting a big burden on them. I think I'll stop there. Those were the things that, as I reviewed the material, jumped out at me, and Arda had mentioned most of them. And it's important, I think, for us at the board and for the broader college community to have a good sense of what's in this budget, how it differs from the ultimate budget, how the budget differs from last year and future years. It's very important material that we need to be completely on top of. So, any more comments, Ken?
Some comments, Jeff. Unfortunately, I think the executive budget, once again, basically treats community colleges as poor stepchildren of the SUNY system. I guess they're expecting us to be grateful for the fact that they don't cut our aid. I don't feel that that deserves appreciation particularly, because our expenses go up. And the enrollment for community colleges is falling just like it is throughout the SUNY system. So I'm not too crazy about anything that's showing up in the executive budget. I think most of it is applicable to these four-year schools.
Ken, real quick on that, I raised that point at the partnership lunch with our state legislators. And I said, look, you know, we see a lot going for 4 years in the universities, the research centers, not so much community. And a couple of them responded that their thinking on it is, yes, they're maintaining the floor, that's really important to us, but they also view themselves as supporting us in other more diffuse ways that are not showing up directly here. So, for example, food insecurity, child care support that flows to our students and to our campuses in indirect ways and is less able to be quantified. But this is, I'm just giving you the argument that they gave in response. So, you know, it's something we all have to, you know, consider to critically think about.
All well and good, but I'm not too impressed.
All right.
The other comment that I'd just like to make about the budget and the dashboard is that we're doing okay financially, but a lot of it has to do with the fact that we're producing a lot of interest income because of our fund balance and because of the interest rates. And that won't last forever. And so going forward, that's not a sustainable revenue source. Same thing, we have several $100,000 of income related to the stadium project, which also has a short-term life to it. So all well and good, and we should take advantage of it as much as we can, but I think it goes back to the point that we still have to be vigilant on the budget. We're talking about getting a good review of programs and the ones particularly that have low enrollment to see what we can do about that, because these two revenue sources are not going to be there forever, and the expenses are going to be unless we continue to review what we're spending. I know we're started with the process now, and we'll get a little more deep into it than next month in the committee meeting and the full board meeting.
Yes, that is the plan.
Exactly.
And I'm so grateful that the board is well informed about the financial being of this college. I think it's important to be transparent, and under Dr. Tsegai's leadership, I think the team is doing a wonderful job.
Lynn, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, just talk about the budget a little bit. The statewide Trustees Association, which is headed up by Alan Williams, who spoke at our retreat, they have employed a lobbyist for this session and last session as well to try to get a 4% increase in aid across the board for community colleges. It was unsuccessful last year. Don't want to predict it's going to happen this year, but the statewide group is trying to enhance our aid as best they can. But Ken is right. Historically, we have been the stepchild of this huge SUNY system, and it's hard to feel real grateful for the floor, but it's better than getting cut. But the statewide trustees are aware of these issues, and they have somebody working on trying to get an increase about 4% this year. Let's hope they're successful.
It didn't make the executive budget, so we're probably not going to see it this year.
Oh, no, it's definitely a
Sometimes these
well,
are.
they're definitely lobbying the legislature for.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
I see
this
what
is
you're
not
saying. I see what
the
you're saying.
executive. This is the legislature.
Got it.
So.
Okay.
And it's part of the 97 Workforce Initiative that the community college has been participating in. That's the advocation that we did in Washington, D.C. is really operational, right? Part of what we are arguing and trying to get to support is that if community colleges are asked to produce, to support the workforce, how are we able to do that? So, for example, nursing, it's an expensive program, and we need to be able to have, it's not lack of student interest, right, or the market interest, but how do we ensure that we're able to have the adequate support, both on the faculty side as well as equipment, to run those programs. So we've been arguing, chairs, the trustees have been arguing to do that work, to be able to demonstrate that we are able to do this, but we do need operational budget. So it's that $97 million that the community colleges are asking.
Good. Any further discussion on the budget, finances, or any of the 8 items submitted for our information under budget, audit, and facilities? Hearing none, we will move on to curriculum, student success, and diversity. Candace Morrison, I think just minutes.
Yes, just the minutes at page 47.
Any further report from your committee?
No further report.
All right. Marketing, Chair Lynn Lanahan.
There wasn't a meeting this month. However, we are busy trying to hire a vice president of marketing. Adam's in that process. I guess we've got some good candidates.
Yes.
And, hopefully we get that done and we get ready to put on our promotion for the summer and the fall.
Yes, thank you.
All right. And Melody Baker, Chair of Policy and Governance.
We did not meet last week, but we do have a meeting coming up, so nothing to report.
And there are a couple things heading your way, one out of the
I do know
Student
that.
Senate and another out of executive session. Strategic planning and assessment, Carrie.
We have not had a meeting with this, so we don't have anything to report unless you have.
No. Okay.
I should just say for those listening or for those new, it's not unusual to not have reports from the committees on a monthly basis. Some of the committees only meet quarterly or every other month as appropriate. We're trying to get each committee scheduled in a way that makes sense and doesn't overburden the staff or have the committee members be overburdened but still gets the college's work done. So, but we list them every month so that we at least touch base with each committee. Talent, diversity, equity, and belonging. Amanda.
Hi, we did not meet this month, but we did have a nice discussion at the trustees retreat with our work council.
Good. More on the retreat coming up. Technology, Carrie Phillips, Chair.
We also did meet on technology. We have moved that to every other month, so we should have a report at the next meeting.
All right. And now, moving to the regular reports, mine, I'm just going to touch on some things. Obviously, I always mention the weekly calls with President Sagai, monthly meetings, President Sagai, County Executive Polenkars, Chief of Staff Swanekamp, and Commissioner of Labor Relations for Erie County, Josh Pinnell. We last met on February 5th, and we will meet again on March 4th. This is going well, and these are very constructive discussions that we're having on a variety of fronts at those meetings. On the February 15th, Dr. Sagai and Kathy Calesto, there she is, met with the Minority Caucus in the Erie County Legislature. By that, I am referring to Minority Leader John Mills, legislators Todaro and Green, and the Minority Caucus staff members, including Council Ron Bennett, who many know here, and others, Lynn Dixon, who support the Minority Caucus, the Republicans, and the state legislature or the local legislature. We were there to talk about the South Campus, keep the legislators informed of exactly what process we're in with respect to examination of our presence in the South Towns. That was well received by the legislators. Afterwards, one or two approached me and said they were glad that we had come in, that we made a good presentation to them. We also have plans to present to the Majority Caucus in the legislature. And we started with the minority because it's a Representative Mills district where we have our South Campus. So we wanted to show that courtesy and start with them and with him, and he invited his caucus, and then we'll be speaking with the majority. And the county executive is aware of that and appreciative that we've been doing that. It was a very constructive question and answer and dialogue at that meeting, and I expect the same when we meet with the majority side. We talked about, we've been evaluating Governor Hochul's budget. I know we took some airtime for that here at the meeting, but I think it is important that we stay very focused on what's happening statewide. On Thursday the 15th, later in the day, we had our Budget Audit and Facilities Committee meeting. Ken, thank you for your active chairmanship of that meeting. That's been very helpful, both at our retreat and on a monthly basis. Later, still on that same day, I attended the Greater Buffalo Partnership Legislative Luncheon with the Western New York delegation. I mentioned that. Some of those present, Dottie Gallagher-Cohen, the president and CEO of the partnership, Senior Vice President of Government Relations Grant Loomis, State Senators Rob Ort, Tim Kennedy, As you know, Tim Kennedy just got endorsed for the congressional seat being vacated by Brian Higgins. New York State DEC Commissioner Basil Sagos, and a variety of other folks from the business community. But interestingly, Jack O'Donnell was there, the lobbying firm. A lot of folks that people around the table and around the room would know. Bonnie Kane Lockwood, the governor's representative, people from Uniland, Monica Wallace, Bill Conrad. These are names that are very active in the education space. And they were all at this luncheon, so it was a very good presence to have us be there. The day after those events, the 16th, we had the RFP responses for the South Campus situation, and there is a committee taking a look at those now. We did receive, I think, 3 responses, and those are being critically evaluated for presentation to the trustees for further discussion and decision. We had on February 16th, the day after that, our board retreat, and I will just say about the board retreat, I was very grateful all the trustees could be in attendance, appreciate that. And it was a very productive day. We worked from about 9 till 4. We had a great lunch, courtesy of our staff over at the Statler Dining Room at North. They served a fish fry. It's Friday in Lent, took care of us. We had a college update from Dr. Adiam Sagai, of course, and others. Kathy Colesto reported to us, and several other folks who touch on what we're doing. Interestingly, Len mentioned Alan Williams. He is the New York Community College Trustee Group Chair and Chairman of Monroe Community College. Many times we've talked about Monroe and what they do, MCC. And he came to us and talked about best practices of an effective governing board. And I think we got a lot out of that, and we threatened to go visit him and learn even more about MCC. Because they're in pretty good shape over there, and he offered some good, solid, practical advice to our board. We then heard from Leslie Ortiz, Assistant County Attorney on procurement policy and affiliated entities. We had our lunch update from Gail and Bob, who support the Board of Trustees. We appreciate your work and your being at the retreat with us and making that day possible. Heard a good briefing on FFECC negotiations and what's happening in the process with our faculty members. From outside counsel, Jeff Switek, and of course we talked about that in among ourselves as well, but we got a good solid briefing on exactly what is happening, and had a good dialogue with Jeff, so that as they enter more intense negotiations in May, the board's priorities are clearly understood, and we want to make sure that those are productive talks. Finally, we took the Association of Community College Trustees, the results of a survey that we all took of ourselves about the college and about our board and how we're doing and what we see as pluses and minuses on all of those fronts, and we reviewed those findings together. That was a nice service performed by the National Group of College Trustees for Community Colleges. And finally, at the end, we did kind of quite a long time where we talked about our individual concerns, what we wanted to see for the college, what our priorities were, where we felt we were doing well, where we wanted to make progress in coming months, even years. We wrote those things down. We talked about each of them. Each trustee presented to the other trustees more discussion, and then at the end we forwarded all of those written comments to Dr. Sagai, so that she and the senior executive staff can know exactly what was top of mind with the trustees at the end of a full-day retreat. So again, a bit of a long summary there, but I think that was every February when we have our retreat, it's a great time for our trustees to recalibrate, recharge, and refocus on what we're actually doing. So that made me happy to have a good, solid retreat. I would note that later in the month, February 21st, NCCC, our neighbor to the north, announced that they were rebranding to become SUNY Niagara. I didn't know if everyone had caught that. That's been in the works for a while, but it was officially announced to the press on the 21st with a new name and a new logo. So we'll have to watch for that. I guess they're doing what we did a few years ago. I was down at the Association of Towns event in New York City, and when I was there, I met with some town officials with whom we interact. Folks from the town of Amherst, for example. Brian Culpa, supervisor, was there. Had a good chance to talk with him about what we're doing up north, and some collaboration that we've had going, including meetings with him and his staff. Looking ahead, we've got to think about the New York State budget late March. Everybody focus on what the real budget really looks like. Next SUNY Erie board meeting is Thursday, March 28th. That's about when the budget will be finalized, hopefully. And we'll be able to have a little better information as ARTA puts together our budget, which is then coming up. Do not forget the eclipse, April 8th. I'd like to quickly hear at some point just kind of what we're doing for that. Are we closing classes? Are we doing special programs? For those interested, there is public service announcement, a program at Grand Island High School tomorrow, Saturday at 1:30. Dr. Kevin Williams, director of the Whitworth Ferguson Planetarium at SUNY Buffalo State, is presenting like an hour and a half on the eclipse, everything about it, what's happening. So, and it's free to the public. If you go and pay $2 donation to the planetarium, they will give you a pair of eclipse glasses. So for those interested in learning more about the eclipse, Saturday, 1:30, Grand Island High School Auditorium. Len and Ken, I mentioned our budget and the meetings that are coming up in May on the FFECC negotiations, but why don't we close, I'll close my report with asking you to mention the Joan Bozer and where we are.
Right, the Joan Bozer event, we're celebrating the naming of Atrium on April 18th, is moving along very well. Jackie Walker from WIVB is going to be the MC that night, and he sent out save the dates, doing as much as we can to publicize it, and I think it's going to be a great night of celebration, not only about Joan's career, but the whole role of community colleges and preservation, but primarily to focus on with Joan's efforts to make the city campus a reality. And Ken and I were both there during that period in the legislature when a lot had to be done to make that happen, and so we're going to celebrate that and give Joan an honor that is long overdue.
Excited for that, and Len and Ken, thank you for taking lead on that and basically chairing that event that leading up and that night. Gail, if you could keep in mind that it's important that we really remember our county partners on that. Yes. The county executive, his staff, right. The comptroller, the clerk, everyone at the county government who would have touched on the ledge.
County executive, Ed Rakowski.
Yeah, former people. We've got to really think hard about who should be invited here.
Right, Roger Blackwell, the former chairman, is
exactly
93 years old and still very active, because we'll want to invite him. And
luckily, Len and Ken know everyone who should be invited, so that's good. But I just want to make sure the majority, the minority, their staff, everyone knows about this event, and that also it's publicized well in the college community, so that those here, especially with ties to city campus, would be aware of that event and hopefully support it.
We do have our students are on the academic side are working on a project to really present, so we are involving the student, particularly at the city campus, to be part of it.
That concludes my report. Yours?
Sure, sure.
Student trustee is not here, so I'm skipping over Cam, and Dr. Quinn is not here as well. She mentioned that she has a sick child at home, so she had to miss. Unless there's anyone else who can report on student concerns or the Senate, that would be then next to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Put the picture up. So image is powerful, so we're going to continue with the image. So starting really, right, going back to student engagement is a center of everything that we want to do. So you can see our students are really participating in back to school event, ice skating, as well as yesterday we did have a special guest, Mark Taylor, who his mother was one of the victims during the 5/14, and he spoke about his experience and more importantly, the way he is using that negative energy and putting a positive focus on serving the community and encouraging, as you could see the auditorium, we had our faculty, his staff, our students. Our students also shared, a lot of our students, as we all know, live in the community or expressed at the time they were going to go to TOPS and they didn't for whatever reason, but it was a very powerful and emotional talk and experience, so well done. And so we had that yesterday, part of our recognizing the community, particularly as it relates to the Black History Month. So he was here with us yesterday. And just some of the things that we're doing, as you know, part of what I've been focusing on with the team, certainly with Gail and Bob, doing a listening session, a listening tour. It's been incredible focusing on our students at each of the campuses, as well as extension site, because we do have students in our extension site. We will reach out to them, including students that are online students, that we will also do an online version of it. But we've also been focusing on faculty and staff at 3 campuses. So that tour has been completed, at least for now. It's been a very engaging. The college community has been really communicating in terms of some of their concerns, some of the areas that we're doing well, but certainly a lot of our concerns that we have. So what we're seeing is a theme sort of coming different campuses, but also as a college. So the goal is for us to take that information, certainly things that are immediate. We are taking steps to really address that, anything related to safety or emotional well-being, and that's on both sides. That's the students as well as the faculty and staff. But there are some long-term type of initiative and project that we're working on. So the idea is to really go back and be able to report out based upon the feedback. So it's been really, interesting. I want to thank all of our faculty and staff who have already participated, as well as our students. Like I said, we have 2 more. We're going to do our Southtown and our North Campus. I think next week is those days that we're going to do. So very excited about that. I also participated in the SUNY Black Puerto Rican, Hispanic, and Asian Caucus last week. That picture, as you can see, that is part of the EOP SUNY alumni. So I am a SUNY alumni and EOP specifically, so I was really honored to be there and represent EOP and SUNY and our college as an alumni student. So as you can see, that was with the trustee. In addition to that, that event also was my first time attending the event. It was an incredible event. The energy, the work that the caucus is doing on behalf of all of our community is very powerful. So I was very honored to represent our college to lead some of that effort that they're working on. So thank you on that. And so a couple other things I just want to highlight. I just want to make sure I don't repeat a lot of the stuff that Jeff said. I participated with him as well. I did have an opportunity to meet with Honorable Crystal Peoplestoke to talk to her about sort of where we are, where we're going. I had a very incredible meeting with her, and so I'm glad to work, and we will be working with her office with a lot of the initiative that Crystal People has going. So I'm very excited about that. I mentioned earlier we did participate in the National Legislature in Washington, D.C., and our trustee also was there, so it was very exciting to have our trustee there. And I did mention during our retreat that our student trustee was using a scooter to visit D.C., so the mother and me did come out, but it was an incredible experience with him being there, and he represented us really well in front of Chuck Schumer and other public officials. So thank him for his incredible voice and energy for our college and community colleges in general. Anything else on here? So let me talk about, upcoming event. We will be getting a visit, honored to get a visit from SUNY Board of Trustee Chair Tish. On March 14th, so she is going to come and visit our college and talk to our students. So we will be getting detail in that agenda, and as soon as we find out more detail, we certainly will relate back to the board and the college community. We have our College Day, March 22nd. This is where an opportunity for us to continue some of the work that we have been doing and get all the college, and we are working on bringing guest speaker to really ensure that we are moving along in the right direction. And a lot of the funding will come through our grant, because we have a lot through the grant in terms of professional development that we're doing. And then lastly, to just kind of end it up, it's commencement, May 22nd at Buffalo State University. Excited about that. That was what we saw this morning. It is really to talk about finishing strong. We have to talk about graduation and graduation rate, and we want to make sure that is also a center of what we do, not just engaging the students here, but we want to make sure they finish and go beyond. So more information on that. So with that, I'm good.
Very good. Thank you, Dr. Sagai. Under any questions about either report? Then under old business, we made an agreement last meeting to keep transportation front and center and hear about that as old business at least on every meeting.
Sure.
Very big concern for students.
Sure.
For all our conversations.
Absolutely.
And a barrier to some of our student success that we're looking
So
for.
on that note, that is also part of what I'm hearing during the listening session and other issues that our students, including our faculty and staff, are talking about those. We do have a survey that's coming from SUNY, Student Satisfaction Survey, in March, where it does speak a lot about transportation. So what we wanted to make sure is that we don't survey our students too much, but using that survey because it will give us a holistic perspective about our student experience. So that will be coming out of Kathy's office, so we should have information on that. In addition to that, we will, and I know Colleen Reedy is taking the lead on that, we will do a focus group with our students to really also hear and get some ideas on how we can improve.
Right, and ARDA is looking at that too, right? Under the
So
budget.
we're looking at an all
Our
angle from all
arrangements.
of it to make sure that everything makes sense. But I think the immediate, as we do have a contract with the transportation, is really how do we enhance their experience right now. And I think we could take some quick action to really take care of some of the sort of low hanging fruit that we have to address.
So we're trying to improve it under our current arrangements, but then
Absolutely.
also examine the current
Absolutely.
arrangements to see if
Absolutely.
they are appropriate or whether we should reconfigure them.
Yes, absolutely.
That too, Ken, is a monthly agenda item at your committee.
Mhm.
Right.
We really are focusing on that.
Is there anything on the survey? Have you gotten anywhere with that?
That's the one part of the survey that I just referred to.
Okay.
We didn't want to do one separate. We know that this is something that we got from
Okay.
SUNY, and we want to use that. And we looked at the survey in detail to make sure it will capture all the things that we want. So that's happening in March, and we'll get that.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything further on transportation? Any other items of old business? New business. I wonder if you could introduce the new member of your senior executive staff and hear from him.
Where's Maureen?
Yes. This is Christopher Sanchez. He's the new hire director of talent management and employee engagement.
Hello.
He's been really well received. Everyone he's worked with so far has really said that he's a pleasure to work with, and we're really happy to have him here. Christopher?
Yeah, why don't you join us at the table and fill us in on your background a little bit.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Well, thank you, everybody. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today and to meet all of you. I'm about a little over 3 weeks into my role with the college, so really getting my feet wet, just learning what our staff need to be supported in improving the journey, of course, for our students. My background actually is in healthcare, so I came from Kaleida Health, about 6.5 years there, and I'm sure all of you have seen my resume. I was waiting for that BOT approval to get my feet in the door and get started here, so I was very excited when that came through. But this is my first time working in higher education, so very similar in terms of the population that we're looking to serve for Erie County, and just thinking about our patients and our students, right? And those are the communities that are really the most at risk in our community when we think about how we create a better tomorrow for Buffalo. So very excited to take that experience and translate it here with all of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Well, and we're glad to have you here. Look forward to getting to know you better and benefiting from your work. We appreciate
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody.
it. All right. New business. Any other items of new business anyone wants to bring up? Hearing none, what I'm going to outline now is what we're going to do in executive session. We will have an executive session today. I expect it will be on the short side. We will be focusing primarily on our collective bargaining negotiations and arrangements for the proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property. Those are our main subjects. And when we come out, we'll announce what, if any, formal action we took. Beyond that, I don't expect it to last very, very long, and I don't expect there to be any business of a normal nature after executive session. So those who are here for the meeting and are free to carry on with their day. But that's what we'll do. I'll take a motion now to go into executive session.
So moved.
Okay, and second, Karen, thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. For those purposes, we will now break, go into executive session.